Yes.
Welcome everyone. We're here to announce and celebrate the largest trade in LA Dodger history. 9-player deal brought us Adrian Gonzalez, Josh Beckett,
Carl
Crawford,
Nick Punto.
Nick Punto. Donnie and Ned will address all the baseball questions, and then afterward, Irvin and Stan and Mark will be available. Thanks.
First off, glad everybody made it out here today. It's obviously a surprise that you're all here today. I want to thank Mark Walter and Magic and the Guggenheim Group and Stan Kasten for giving these opportunities and for allowing us to go out and make this team better for this great fan base. And we've done a lot of different things in the last month with this probably capping it off. But it's July and August may have been our free agent season. But it's good to be in the position we're in. It's good to build this franchise in the dynamic way that we've been given the opportunity to do. When they first came here, they talked about being bold and thinking big thoughts and doing big things. And when you think about the players that we've been able to add, it's obvious that their words were true. We're thrilled that we were able to acquire these players from Boston. Adrian Gonzalez is somebody that we're very familiar with, being that he played most of his career in the National League West. Somebody that we've respected for a long time, somebody that I had actually tried to acquire a few years ago from San Diego, and been trying to acquire from Boston really since early in this season. Carl Crawford is one of the more dynamic players in the game. When you look back a year plus ago, this guy was one of the most highly sought after free agents in baseball. Multi-talented, run, hit, field, brings a great dynamic and great energy to a club. Josh Beckett, winning player, somebody who's been to the World Series and has won. Somebody who will help our rotation, especially with the news of last night that Chad may be out for a while. Somebody that when I talked to him today, is ecstatic to be in Los Angeles, and is somebody that is got the resume and the background to really help this club in a lot of different ways. Nick Punto is also somebody we tried to acquire a few years ago. Great extra guy. With the injury to Jerry Hairston, it became apparent to us that we really needed to make sure we had enough major league experience here, particularly in the infield where Jerry played most of the time. Nick can play second, short, and third. I'll turn it over to Donnie here for a couple comments, and then we'll open up for questions.
Well, from my standpoint, things really don't change. The names in the lineup are different. I feel like my job stays the same, to try to put these guys in the best possible position, create an environment, and we create an attitude with which we play and how we go about our business. So from my standpoint, it's my job, the staff's job, to keep creating the environment, put these guys in the proper position, and for us to play the best baseball that we can possibly play for the remaining games that we have. And so from my standpoint, obviously the talent level, Ned talked about some of the guys, I'm familiar with all of them. Adrian, to me, is, if not the best first baseman in baseball, is one of the premier first basemen. From the time I got a chance to see him in San Diego, a guy with a pure stroke, great defender, understanding of the game, all the attributes with Adrian, and tremendous player. Carl is another guy that obviously with the surgery is kind of, in a sense, on the back burner right now. Tremendous player. This guy can do so much. Talking to people in different places, from friends, one of the hardest workers that you'll ever see in the game. 100% confident that Carl will do everything he could possibly do to get back and be successful here. Josh is another guy. Just seen way too much of him when he was in Boston, and just big game pitcher for me. And I know there's been whatever going on, but I think the surrounding here in LA is going to be great for him, and he's going to be great for our club. Nick's another guy that Ned talked about. We tried to acquire and a guy I'd seen in Minnesota and some different places. A guy that gives us lots of flexibility in different positions. And so from my standpoint, that's where I'm moving forward.
Ned, Josh Beckett's reputation is taking a beating in the last year. You guys did your due diligence on him. What did you find out?
You know, Joe, we really believe that in every environment, different things occur, and people react to different environments in different ways. The past is the past. I talked to him today, and you know, he said it's been a rough go for him there, and that he had a lot of great memories there, but that he was looking forward to being here. And I told him, like I told Hanley Ramirez and like I told Manny Ramirez a few years ago, you know, you come here, I don't judge people by what other people say. I make my determinations on people by how they treat the game, how they treat the ownership, how they treat the manager, the coaching staff, the fans. That's how it goes, and that's what I told Jeff today. You know what? Everybody starts here clean, and they'll write their own story, and they'll write their own personality and their own traits.
Now, how difficult, in your opinion, was it for you to make this kind of trade? And also for Donnie, how long will the transition take for these players to make a transition from the American League to the National League?
The trade itself, you know, at this time of year in August, you can really, and I was telling somebody this the other day, most of the time you can tinker with your club a little bit, and you can add like we added Marlon Anderson a few years ago, and Ronnie Bellier had a big September for us, and John Garland and Greg Maddox and Tomey. It's difficult to make a trade of this size this time of year. You have so many things that need to fall into place, including the waiver process. And when the players cleared the other day, I was candidly I was surprised that they got through, especially Adrian. But you know, sometimes that's the way it's meant to be. And it was obviously a big deal, and it took a long time to put all the pieces together. It moved pretty quickly because on a waiver deadline you've got 48 hours to make something happen. But it was in the process in my mind for a long time. But when you hit July 31st, the true chance of it happening before the off season really diminishes. And we were fortunate that we had the backing we've got here and the support we've got here, and that they were inclined to do what they did.
Ed, what is your understanding of the earliest?
Well, with the transition, I think Adrian obviously just in San Diego within 2 years. So his transition should be fairly simple. Obviously, this, you know, playing in the National League West, the teams that we play, a lot of the pitchers still have the same guys that you're going to be seeing. It should be a fairly seamless transition, but he has been in the other league for, you know, almost 2 years now, so a little different. I think from Josh's standpoint, you know, it's going to be a matter of making pitches. And I think there's enough interleague now that he's probably seen some of these guys last year. I think we were in national, we played the East. It's really a matter of making pitches on guys. So it's a matter of executing. So I don't think it should be a major transition for the pitcher standpoint. Maybe swing the bat. We're going to have to do that a little bit. I think Nick was in National League last year, St. Louis, so he's another guy that should have the transition of seeing the league. That's it.
What is your understanding of the earliest Crawford will be coming?
I think on the quick side it'll be 7 months, on the long side it'll be 9 months. So you're talking about September, October, November, December, January, February, March, maybe the 1st of April, maybe in May. He'll be able to hit most likely in about 4 months, but again, it's going to be the throwing that's different. But for a position player, the rehab is far quicker than for a pitcher. And rehabs and Tommy John surgeries have really come a long way in the last few years anyway, so we probably have 2 things in our favor. One, that the rehabs are quicker and more thorough, and 2, that he's a position player.
There's a lot of speculation that the Red Sox said, yeah, you can have Adrian Gonzalez if you take Beckett and Crawford. Do you agree to that, or do you guys want them separately?
You know what? It's a baseball trade. As you look at our starting rotation, you can't tell me we don't need Josh Beckett. And you look at the history of Carl Crawford and what he's been able to accomplish, and really where he was a year plus ago, as one of the most coveted free agents on the market. We'll take those players any day.
Don, as a former first baseman, your excitement level about having a high, all-star caliber first baseman?
Well, it doesn't have nothing to do with me being a first baseman, just the caliber of player that we get. To me, Adrian, just from the first time I seen him, have been a fan. and not like seeing him on the other side. The way he plays first, the understanding of the game, you could tell his timing, just the baseball side of it. And then talking to a few of his teammates and things, the way he studies and prepares. You know, I like, as we talk about players, when Ned comes to me and talks to me about this guy or that guy, I always look at pure hitters. Adrian's one of those guys that you feel like, man, the stroke's there, everything about him, it's just smooth. And those are the kind of guys that you look at that to me are going to hit good pitching. They're going to be able to hit as you get into tougher and tougher competition. That's when Adrian's going to, I feel like, will shine. And that's the kind of guys, when we talk about a guy like that, that's what I like to look at.
How have you decided when they're going to play?
Are they going to be here tonight? Play tonight.
Which number is here? Which number? Got the number?
Excuse me?
The number for that year?
Oh, I don't understand.
The number.
Oh, is Adrian going to wear it? I'm not sure.
I think 23.
Yeah, there you go, 23.
Ned, does this signify a change in the Dodger culture, signing big name players and suspension players?
Well, I think that it's obvious what it does. It's obvious we've acquired 9 players in the last month, and we have traded some good young players that are going to end up playing in the big leagues. But to be able to go after 9 players from a week before the trading deadline till really a week before the last deadline, basically, and to be able to add the people we've added and the talent that they bring, and you look at our lineup and how different it is and how it's been expanded. That probably answers your question for you. It's a different place.
Ned, can you walk us through the last day or so and how this trade became a reality?
Well, I started reading about it. It's one of the best kept secrets I think we've had for a while. We had talked about this is going to be a very long answer. It's a very big trade, obviously. I talked to Ben Charrington back in April about Adrian. You know, when the team was sold, I started to talk to Stan more, and as I said a couple minutes ago, the direction was, let's go, let's be bold, and let's think about people which we probably wouldn't have thought of earlier. And he was one of the guys that we've always liked, and so we started that process then. And as the talks went on, and they were sporadic, and we talked to them about other players near the deadline, and brought Adrian's name up again, and they weren't prepared to do anything with him. But as the more you talk with people, and the more scouts talk, and the more conversations that go on, you get a feel for where the match may be. You get a feel for what players in your system they're starting to like. You know who scouts who. We know who's been in Chattanooga to see some of our players there. We know who sits in this ballpark to watch our players here. So you get a little bit of a picture. You don't get the crystal clear picture right away, but you start to get an idea of where their interest is going to lie. And therefore, we can start to judge where our interest lies as far as what we're willing to do. And we just kept turning it and kept turning it. I stayed in touch with Ben in the month of August. And I said, look, we've got interest in some of your players here. And we're going to need, he knew it was Adrian as one of the key guys, but he also knew that that we were in the market to pick up star players. And they were also looking to add as much pitching as we could add. And as time went on, it just started to get clearer and clearer. And this has probably been a front of mind topic, or something that we've discussed internally and externally with Boston for probably a week on an almost daily basis, some days over and over again on a certain day here or there. So.
Do you accept the blame for that?
Yes.
Yeah, the fact that Carl, as well as Adrian, they're really in the middle of their careers. They're not at the back end necessarily. Is that a critical factor in this? These are guys that you can build around.
Absolutely. We've traded some players that we were only going to trade if we were going to be able to get players that were going to be here for a while. And when you think of somebody being 30 years old, Hanley's not even 30 years old yet. If you're talking about players that are entering their prime or in their prime, and for that type of player, that type of age group, that we were prepared to do what we did, obviously. And I think it's, we gave up some players, there's no doubt. But we also got some players that are well-known, that have been through the grinds of Major League seasons, that have been successful in a big-time way in all of them. And you know what, the more we look at projections and you look at free agent classes that may be coming out as time goes on, when you start to really look deep at that, you find out that there's a scarcity in certain positions. And when you have an opportunity to fill that need, you're going to have to do it. Because if you let that go by, you're going to be faced with a tougher decision down the road trying to find a player to fill that spot. And when you look at the prospective list in some different positions, it's not necessarily appealing to you.
Donnie, I guess maybe both of it. When these guys bought the team back in April and you heard that they were going to do big, bold stuff, did you ever think it would be like this, at this level? Or?
Well, I didn't think it'd be quite like this. Again, from my standpoint, it was I felt the energy. You know, when Mark's group and Magic and Stan were announced, I mean, it was instant energy within the spring training complex from our players through the fans. Felt that energy all year long, and you know, having conversations with Mark and different parts of the ownership group, you know, it's clear we're just here to win, and it's just bottom line. It's pretty much that simple. Is that we're here to win. I mean, you mentioned Magic's name. You're not going to mention anything but championships, and that's really what we've talked about, is trying to win championships. And so when you're trying to win championships, you bring in people that we're bringing in. And you know, we talk about the question of the guys that we have here are not just this year type guys. These are guys that are in the prime of their career that you build organizations around. When you start talking about Andre Ethier, Matt Kemp, Hanley Ramirez, Carl, Adrian, you start throwing some names together that are a core group of young guys, talented guys that have shown that they play the game right too, and they play hard. And so it's pretty much simple as that we're here to win a championship. And I mean, I don't know how else you would say it or what we're thinking. And I know Mark, when he talks about it, it's about winning. It's not about getting into the playoffs. It's not about coming in second, or it's about winning it. So you know what your goal is, and it's pretty clear.
Donnie, I see that tonight you went with the lineup, Kempler, Gonzalez fourth, Ramirez fifth, Ethier sixth. Is that just kind of a matchup type thing, or is this what you're kind of thinking of going for right now?
It's kind of what I'm thinking.
How do you like them lined up like that?
Well, for the most part, I want length throughout the lineup. And I looked at it from throwing Andre in a two-hole, and then it ends up getting, I don't like the way the back of it looks. It's trying to put it where it's going to be dangerous throughout, guys in the right spots. And talking to everybody, and everybody was good.
Ned, what is it like for you after the last regime to now have this tremendous resources that you have, and kind of have the shackles taken off of what you can do?
Well, in these positions, I think you have to think about today, tomorrow, a month from now, a year from now, 5 years from now. I think you have to be aggressive. You can't be reckless, and you can't be without thought process. But you have to be relentless, and you have to be able to think creatively and think out of the box. And you have to be able to think bold things and think big things and do them. And I think for a while there, of course, you know, we weren't really able to do that. And so it's engaged our thought process to a much deeper level. The guys that are here with me, which, you know, Vance Lovelace and Rick Ricazzo and Alex Hammond, their thought process, everybody's stepped it up, because now it's, you know, there's not necessarily a ceiling to it. It's you got free thought. You got a free way to express yourself and to find out how good you could really be, and how good you could really make a team. And that's pretty good.
It's different though from when you're looking, I mean, it might be a long-term bargain basement, see if you can get out of the lease that you can get out of it, to now where you can go after an Adrian Gonzalez, a Beckett, a Crawford, and to say, you know, it's routine business now.
Well, I wouldn't say it's routine business, Joe. but it's from a baseball standpoint, it's far more conducive to being able to be as good as you can be.
question's for either one of you. Beckett was scheduled to start today. When is he going to start for you guys?
Today's
Saturday.
what's today? Today's Saturday. I think we're talking ring tomorrow. I think he's going Monday.
Oh,
Cap.
That's
Yeah.
Ned,
Lot going on.
you mentioned something about relevancy earlier and also the importance of, getting Beckett in this
Yeah,
deal.
he's Chad's tender, and we're gonna have to do some more tests on him in the next few days here to see how he's doing.
Still out for pitching here somehow? Do you think you have enough right now? Or depending on how Bills comes out?
You know, I think we're in a decent spot. You still got to play the games, and you still got to execute. And again, at this time of year to make a trade, it's difficult. Like the type of trade we just did, you have to have a lot of different things that come into play and line up for you. So if there's somebody else out there in the next week or so, we'll take a shot at it, as always. We're done until the next one.
One more for Donnie, guys.
I guess, Donnie, on this good day for Dodger baseball, you still had to say goodbye to a couple of Dodger players. How did James Sullivan handle everything when you were talking?
I thought James was good. Just kind of thanked him and told him how much respect I had for him. He's always been a guy that has worked. He's always worked. He would do everything he could to try to get better and better. I felt like he's always given us everything that he had. I thanked him for that. I told him I thought this was a good opportunity for him. Going to Boston, it's probably one of the best left-handed hitting parks in baseball. So it's a chance for him with his swing to get a new beginning and show what he can do. But really, again, James has been a guy since I came over, had a chance to work with, and so it's kind of that kind of conversation.
If I may add one part to that too. A lot of the players that we've moved have been very difficult to have that conversation with them, including James, because we've either developed them, drafted them, developed them, and then had to have this kind of conversation with them, and that's tough to do. James been here a long time. James hit a grand slam in Chicago in the Division Championship Series in 08. Was one of the biggest home runs this franchise seen in years. Stuff's not forgotten, and we do feel it's a good opportunity for him and maybe a little bit of a fresh start there. But trading people isn't one of the joys of my job. It's one of the necessities of it. But we've traded some really good people.
What is your farm system like now for
Well, it hasn't necessarily got stronger by trading 12 guys.
How much?
But we've lost a little bit of pitching. I think we've kept a majority of our prospect position players in-house, and we've still got some pitching that we think is high ceiling guys. Not as many as we had a month ago, but we still have a few. I think what this also does to one of the questions earlier about these players being in the prime of their career, or being 30 years old, or being a little bit younger than that, gives us some time to continue to grow the system, continue to invest in Latin America, which we've done immediately since the ownership change. Continue to do that. This buys us a little bit of time, if you will, on that segment of it, where we have a little bit more time before we're going to need a first baseman, before we're going to need outfielders, before we're going to need a third baseman or shortstop, whatever hand it turns out to be.
All right, guys. That'll be available for one-on-ones afterward. Donnie's obviously going downstairs. I'll bring it right now. Stan, Mark, and Irvin.
Thank you all for coming. It's my practice for events like this to just put the GM and the manager out there. I like to keep the focus on the baseball side. This was, in every sense of the word, a baseball trade. Would not have been made but for the analysis, the recommendations, the work done by the baseball people, evaluating it as for what it did for our team, both for the players that we were getting in return and the players that we were sending away. So that's why I like to keep the focus there. But we're also mindful that there's such a significant economic component to this deal, and we've all had calls and interest in talking to us. We thought we'd step up here today too to talk to any of you, answer anything we could. Let me just start by saying before we throw it open, we couldn't be happier about the opportunity that we found to be able to do this deal, just like with the opportunities we found over the last month. When we came in, we made it clear that we want to build the Dodgers back to what they once were. We think there's a lot of work required. On the baseball side, it starts with scouting and player development. We said that, we still believe that. But we also said that because of where we are, we know that fans deserve and expect all that we can do to make the team the best it can be today. So that's what we have done. But I want to stress what is important to me every time I talk to fans, every time I talk to other people around baseball. We continue to believe in the importance of building a foundation through scouting and player development. We won't be what we want to be until we have a system that is producing the pipeline of players, delivering players to us year in, year out, homegrown. So the great advantage that I think with this ownership is that we can do both at the same time, as you've heard me say. Nothing we have done over the last month will detract from our effort, from the resources that we have dedicated to the building up of our organization from the ground up, from scouting, player development. As you know, we've had a very active summer in those efforts as well, both through the draft, internationally, and I can promise you those efforts will continue long after today. So with that, I want to open it up for, I know all of you had an interest in talking to Mark and Magic and me, so here we are. Who wants to kick it off?
I'll kick it off. With the Dodgers taking on more than $250 million in salary, isn't there pressure to win and win now?
Well, of course, you know, we did this for our fans, Jim, and we feel that, of course, we want to win now. And when you bring in the type of players that we brought in, it also sends a message to our fans that we want to win. And our players are extremely happy. And when Mark and Stan and I sat down, if a trade was available, if players were available of this magnitude, of this caliber, we were going to be aggressive. And from day one, since I met Mark, that's been his attitude, that's been Stan's attitude, and that's been my attitude. So, look, we understand that you have to spend money to be good in this league. And we understood that before we bought the team. And so we're excited. This is an exciting day. My grandson's birthday, and now, you know, Josh, Beckett, Adrian, I mean, you go down like Nick, Carl, I mean, coming to the Dodgers is unbelievable, and we're excited about it.
Mark, baseball probably has never seen a team with the resources you guys apparently have. The Yankees used to get killed every year around spending money in the park. Do you worry about any kind, or does it even matter about repercussions for the other teams because you guys are doing things that they can't do?
I haven't really thought about it from that perspective. I think when we came in, we made folks a promise we were going to do whatever we could to make the Dodgers the best team we possibly can. And I think that, you know, includes the folks that we've got working here that I think are absolutely the best. I think we have some of the best players. I think character matters. I wanted to make that point in case it doesn't get asked, that we want highly talented players, but I think we want people who have character too. And I think that the players we have on the team now and the players we picked up are all, from everything we know, are very high caliber and high character people. But in terms of whether we're spending more than another team, I think that the fans and delivering what we promise is more important.
Mark, there's going to be a lot of
Can I add, before you go, every team had a chance to claim these guys. I mean, 20-something teams before us. So, I mean, I think we should look at that too when you think about it.
Well, that was my whole point. Most of the teams don't have the resources you guys do.
Well, I think they do. You know, they have to make up their mind what they want to do. You know.
Mark, there's going to be people who look at this and go, how in the world can they make a profit after spending so much to buy a team and all this money and stuff that you added? How in the world can this make financial sense? I know you're a business guy, right?
You can answer a lot of funny ways with that, too. First of all, I think that the value of this franchise is represented in what the price that was paid and in what other people we believe would have happily paid, and that doesn't go up or down, daily or weekly with one or two players' salaries, and so we feel like that we're trying to build something for the long term, and I think that's important too. That someone asked a question about winning now. Obviously, we'd love to win now. We want to win tomorrow and the year after that and the decade after that. And if that's what we have to do that, if we can, we will.
Is there a ceiling? Yeah.
Well, somewhere, I suppose.
We'll let you know when we get there. Ramona, let me also add, just as there was an awful lot of detailed, sophisticated baseball analysis, of course there was also the same kind of economic analysis done on this. But we start and operate with the bedrock assumption that if we get our job done, if we do our job right, we will be rewarded by the support of our fans and the support of our other customers and the support of strategic partners and sponsors and media partners. We think we're making a gamble that will all come back to us to the good if we do our job right first, but it's not going to happen in the other sequence. So first we have to get our job done, and that's what this represents today. We think if we do, the payoff will be there and it will all make sense.
As it stands now, for next year, your payroll might be over a baseball luxury tax. Are you concerned about that? Does that number mean anything to you guys?
Our focus has been, and seriously, Mark and Magic don't even ask me about that. They want us to put the best team that we can pull together on the field. And right now, first and foremost, we're going to worry about our product, and considerations like that are very secondary. We done? That would be great. Oh, sorry, Bill. Disappointing me again, Bill.
Short guy in the back. You know better than anybody from your experience, Stan, that the amount of clubs with the resources to do what you did financially are few and far between. Why then were the Dodgers not able to say, you want us to take on this money, Boston? That's fine. We love finding other clubs to do it. We're not giving you back quality prospects.
Well, I don't want to, nor do I think there's a need to go back and rehash all the twists and turns of the deal. All I will say to you is we made the deal that we felt comfortable making, and we feel comfortable with the result. We done? Even, Bill? We're done? Yeah, cool. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks very much.
Actually, I want to make one more comment. I'm sorry. I told Don this too, that somebody asked a question earlier about the exiting players, and I appreciated what Ned said about how that's probably a very difficult part of his job. I would like people to know, I really hope that those players, not just the ones from this trade, but from past trades too, I wish them the absolute best, and I hope their careers take off and they make us, think twice about whether we made that. I really wish them the absolute best. I hope they have tremendous careers.
Thanks. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.